before I should have asked you this off camera.
No, you can ask me whatever you want. I'm open.
Feel free to say no.
It's okay.
Okay. I just wanted to like see if
now
we
I want to know what it is.
No, it's not anything crazy. But you honestly feel free to say no. I don't know if there was any way to do a little reading for anyone here. I don't know how that works for you.
We can.
Like a mini one. Because you guys can't see behind the camera. Are you guys all up for it too, by the way? Is anyone not? Okay, there's 5 people that work on set, including myself, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if you could or wanted to connect with someone. Are you guys all down for it, everybody? Because if you're not, no? Okay, Drew's passed.
Okay, I will tell you, if you understand the person I'm saying, will you just say that you understand them, but you're not open? Okay, thanks.
Okay, so Drew's passed.
It's really hard if it's like,
yeah.
I'm like,
someone comes up, just say me, pass. But everybody else, you guys are all good? So we got 4 people here.
All right, give me just a second.
Okay.
I have to say, this woman, I tend not to move my awareness because, like I said, I have to move my awareness there. But I'm aware of this woman. She feels very motherly. So I know she would have raised several children in the world, but she's a big personality. She's not afraid to tell someone about themselves. She's not afraid to really give her opinion. But it's funny the way she gives her opinion. It reminds me of like how my grandma used to be like, well, I guess if you like your hair like that, that's okay. So, but she's very direct and very honest in that way. Let me just start there and see if anyone understands this woman. I don't know yet, but does this sound like someone you might know?
Hey, you. Subscribe right here at the Geena The Latina Show. Subscribe and make sure you follow us on social media on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at the Geena The Latina Show. All right, let's get back to it. I'm really excited for today's guest because today's guest is a former WWE diva turned psychic medium / spiritual healer. How does one do that? This is Joy Giovanni. Hi, on Instagram and everywhere you can find her as Joyful Medium. Correct. So, okay, before we get into like how you made the transition from WWE Diva to psychic medium, a lot of people don't even know what a psychic medium is. Could you explain that?
To start.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's just the reason I use those words is because that's typically how people are searching for it.
Yeah.
Where really psychic and medium are 2 totally different things.
Yes.
Essentially, psychic means that I'm blending my energy with the energy of a person that's in a body, like a recipient, to understand potentials, possibilities, choices, changes, things going on in their life. And mediumship is me blending my soul's energy with the soul of a person that's not in a body. So someone that's already crossed over.
Yes.
All mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums.
Are mediums. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could do both pretty much.
Yes.
And so she connects with loved ones who have passed away.
Yeah, typically people's loved ones that have passed away.
Yes.
Most of the time they know them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes, I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes it's the people we think that are going to come through in a reading. And so I've had it where it's like someone's 3rd grade teacher that they forgot all about and wasn't expecting at all.
Yeah. So I'm a total big believer in mediums. I've had my own experience and, you know, all the things. But when I was looking for a medium to have on the show, you came highly suggested for one of my good friends. And he's like, she's the real thing. You got to have her on the show because a lot of people are a little like doubtful, right?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people that are doubtful? Like, I mean, I know we don't really need to respond to them because I feel like it's here for people who want it. And if you don't, you don't, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. For me, I would still consider myself an open-minded skeptic.
Okay.
As you probably know, I'm a Boston girl, so I'm pretty no-nonsense, and I want a real-world application for things. It's why I love the style of mediumship that I work in. It's called evidential, which really means that when someone's loved one communicates, I like them to share specific details. So it's not going to be like, what does a bee name mean to you? It's going to be, you know, I've got your mom, and she's talking about this recipe that she made or this tradition or this part of her personality that you would recognize. So it's more specific. I think it's totally fair for people to be open-minded skeptics and have their own experience so they know it resonates with them or it doesn't. And just like every other profession in the world, there's going to be people that are for you and there are going to be people that are not the right one for you, and everyone's at a different place in their work. So yeah, I think it's fair to be skeptical. Don't just believe everything you see, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So before we get into like the mediumship, I want to know how you transition from, let's go back to your WWE Diva days, right?
All right.
Okay, so you were a WWE Diva. You were one of the first ones you told me, right?
I don't know if I was one of the first ones, but they had they had started pursuing actresses to make, this is probably really funny, but to make their storylines more believable. So I was already a SAG actor at that time, and it's just a role that I ended up taking. And I got really lucky. I was part of the main event program every week. So they were fighting over me. I got put in the trunk of a car for a whole episode, and I was like out there the whole time in the trunk. And so it was just these zany antics that I was kind of giving them a reason to be fighting really every week. And it was a really unique experience. I loved being in front of the audience, but it's probably not what I thought, like envisioned myself doing as an actor. It was a different thing.
So you were an actor, then they hired you to be WWE Diva. And my boyfriend asked me when I told him I was having you on the show, he's like, what was her diva name? And I'm like, I don't know. It was Joy.
Joy Giovanni.
Yeah. Okay, so it was your own name.
If you search WWE and my first name, you're going to see me.
Oh, okay. So you just went by Joy. Did they start changing the names later? I don't even know if you know that.
I do. It's really an interesting piece of it. It's, obviously, because I was an actor, I had entertainment attorneys to look at my contract. And it's the only point that I got conceded to me in my contract was to own my name. Oh, good. So they do this business where they want to own your name, even if it's your name that you came in with. It's why we see so many that have transitioned that you're like, oh, why are they using a different name now? It's because they don't have rights to their name.
Yes, this is not a business podcast. However, that is good to point out because I always say that I own my own name too. It's but important. A lot of people, when you go into like business and like you work for a big company, they own your names, and a lot of new people don't understand this. We've seen this with like, some of the other more recent divas that all of a sudden have to go to their real name. And, so anyways, that was a little sign up.
So
how do you go from WWE Diva to psychic medium? Like, that's a big question.
Jump.
I know.
And it was many years in between. So a lot of people looking from the outside would think at that time I was like on top of the world on international television, getting recognized all over the world. What a lot of people didn't realize is at that time I had 2 small kids. My kids were 3 and 5 back then. It's been almost 20 years now. I was married. I was taking care of my whole family. And I thought because I was in this 3-year deal with them that meant 3-year guarantee. And all of a sudden, one day I was ready to leave for TV and I get this call saying it's business, it's not personal, you're being released from your contract. And my whole world crumbled. I not only lost my contract, but not long after I lost my house, my marriage crumbled.
Oh my God.
So it sent me in a totally different direction. Before acting, I had trained as a massage therapist. I was wanting to be a holistic health practitioner. So that was really my initial focus. And I returned to that. And it's through that journey that I came to Reiki, which is a Japanese form of energy healing. My first mentor was like, oh, you're psychic. And I was like, oh, you're crazy, because that's not a real thing.
So when they told you that, you didn't really nothing resonated? Like you didn't feel like, well, yeah, I see what you're talking about or whatever?
Well, you know what it is? As long as you know me, you'll hear me complain about this. It's the language. Because I thought from movies, it meant like, well, time stands still and this big movie opens up before your eyes and you see the future. That's not what it is at all. It's how people say like, oh, you know what? There's really good energy in that meeting today.
Yeah.
Or, I just get a bad vibe about that person. And I was like, oh, I'm already doing that. If that's what it is. But mine had some additional features. So I can also see colors around people. And I could sometimes just perceive additional things that maybe weren't face value.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized through the journey that there were things when I was a kid that had happened that I just never put 2 and 2 together. You kind of put it in the closet of your mind of like, oh, I'm just not going to think about that. And so then because I'm such an open-minded skeptic, I wanted to pursue for myself. Even when I was learning Reiki, you'll laugh about this, I was doing these like scientific experiments in my house where I'd have like a control group plant and a plant that I was giving Reiki to just to see. I wanted to validate it for myself. Yeah. And then it was through that journey that I just, you know how it is with all this wellness stuff. Then you're interested in, okay, what's the deal with crystals? What's the deal with cards? What's the deal with intuition? How does this all work? And it was during Reiki healings that all of a sudden I started to become aware of invisible dead people standing next to me, and I could tell my client specific details about them. And I was like, oh my God, hold on. Like, do I have this? Do I want this? Like, what does this mean? So it sent me.
So when you say you see
journey.
Invisible dead people, so is that what happens? Like, because for people that can't like do that, or they think they can, or whatever, like what is it? You just someone
how does
just
it work for
up?
me?
Yeah, how does it work for you?
So essentially, I think a lot of the times because of media, we think it's going to be outside of ourselves, like we see each other. It's really more internal. And so it's through the sensing. It's almost like if you were to close your eyes and you had a cat that walked into the room and you felt like someone was in the room with you. It's more like that. I typically feel them to my right side, and it's just me slowly becoming aware of someone. And then little by little, I'll know details about them. It's largely in the emotions. And then when I'm working, sometimes I'll get quick flashes of pictures, but they're mental pictures. Like if I told you, oh, imagine me at the beach, it's a mental picture. Sometimes I'll get quick thought words or songs sometimes, but it didn't start out like that. It really was a journey of learning how to work with those elements. To interpret's not quite the right word, but to understand what they're trying to communicate. So it's really largely through the sensing.
Yeah. And I always say, so some people, the super skeptics, like I'm talking about the super skeptic, want mediums to be perfect and right on and everything, right? And that's like, I always say, like, you have to like the signs come to them. And then they're transmitting it to you or whatever, but it's not going to always be perfect on. I feel sometimes it is perfect, right?
It can be,
it
but
just depends.
It's for me, I have my clients say yes, no, or I don't know as I give them details. So I know, okay, I'm understanding this correctly. Or like the other day, I misunderstood a police officer for a military officer. So it's like, you can see how they feel kind of the same.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so to me as a believer, I'm like, that's close enough. I got it. But to as a skeptic, they're like, no, you said police officer and it was military or whatever it is.
I've had that. I've had that before.
I just feel like if you are like someone who's been interested in doing mediumship, connecting to a loved one, keep an open mind with that. Keep in mind with a few things. Like you said, there's different people with different skill levels.
It's true.
Some people are just learning their spirit dictionary and all those things. But also I feel like, to me, like if they're describing, if it's a police officer and you're describing military, that to me is good enough because you got the vibe of it, right? I just feel like some people are let down because they want it to be like perfect, but like go into the feeling. Is this correct or no? Or
no, but you know what I found?
I want to give a quick shout out to our food sponsor, Cravings Fruit. They're a fruteria in Santee, and they have lots of fruit with chamoy. Today, they brought us some tortas, sandwiches. They even got candied apples. Of course, they have all the green juices, and this, I believe, is a watermelon juice. Shout out to Cravings. Thanks for being our food sponsor.
It's usually the people that are very hardline skeptics that are the most deeply grieving and that are having, it's because they need it to be exactly right because they really are in so much pain internally and they're needing that to relieve the pain. So it's not uncommon for someone when they're in that skeptical phase to get a reading early on that they feel like is so, or just the way I say it in my work is I'm not here to convince skeptics. It's my intention just to open someone's mind just 1 inch more.
That's
and then
great.
They're on their own journey, their own processing of emotions.
Could you explain a little bit how it works to someone like you said, like you see a police officer, but military? Well, how else?
It's a good question. So for me, I don't believe in using like a symbol library. You mentioned the dictionary. Here's why. Because if I, in my mind, say like, okay, a red rose always signifies anniversary. Well, what if they're having me understand red rose, but it's because they won the prize red roses in the fair every year? Or, that's what their husband brought them from outside in their front yard. So there's lots of ways those can be used. They can't necessarily put a new reference or memory into my mind. So they're using my own life. For me, there's about 3 or 4 houses from my childhood that they'll show me images of when they want me to understand like the layout of their house, or they had the wood paneling in the basement, or those type of things. And the best readings are always the things you can't Google, like the personality, okay, right behind you out of frame, you have this photo, it looks like this. Do you know what I mean? So essentially for me, the other thing to know is it's a two-way communication. So the best explanation is like that Venn diagram with the 2 circles. I move my soul to them, my awareness. They move their awareness to me, and it's in that overlapping space that they share the information. So they're having to equally agree to communicate with me as I am with them. And it's so subtle. So it just starts to be the essence of me knowing, okay, this is someone who identifies as a male or a female. And then I'll start to understand elements about the relationship. Sometimes, for example, a big sister can feel motherly if they help to raise someone. So it's in the nature of the relationship and a lot in the details of the personality. So it's really through the emotions that is how I understand everything, because my mentor, his name's Andy Bing, the example he always uses is if I, in my mind's eye, see a glass of beer on a bar, it's only the emotion that tells me, is this a celebration? Is this person work at a bar? Are they an alcoholic? What's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I get
And
it.
then as my client says yes or no to me, I'll keep receiving and perceiving bits of information, and it kind of shapes up from there. It's a little bit different every time.
What would you say to someone like who like went to you and they have specific intentions to connect with their mother, right? And then their mother doesn't come through or whatever, someone else does, and they're so disappointed and think like, hey, does my mom not want to talk to me? Or like, can you explain how different people come through? Because it's not always like, sometimes it is exactly who you want to come through, but sometimes it's not. It can be something completely different that comes through. Can you explain how that works?
That's a really good question. So the way I say it is I'm not in control of who comes through or what they want to say. Because I've also had this group of sisters one time that came in wanting the dad's like safe deposit combination. And I was like, I don't have that information. I knew like, how he passed and all these things about him.
Yeah.
But
so you can't go in there and asking specific stuff like that. Yeah.
I wish it was, but it's not. But they order themselves, especially if it's like a large group reading, for example. It doesn't mean your loved one's not there. It means they're ordering themselves based on the need for healing of their own soul. So like you said, a lot of times it is people we expect that are part of the communication, but sometimes there's someone else that needs to unburden themselves, needs to apologize, or maybe there's an apology that my client needs that they didn't even know that they needed, for example. The other thing is it's also okay if someone's coming through in your reading and you're like, oh, that person was really traumatic, I don't want to hear from them. It's okay to say no, and I can ask them to step aside.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, but the intention is always about healing. It's the greatest need of my client, the greatest need of the spirit person. And the other thing to remember is sometimes what we think we want and what we need are the same, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah. Most times they're not, right?
Most times
we're not we think we need something or whatever. The universe or God or whatever we believe in is like, nah, you need something else.
Totally. And the good news is none of that's my responsibility.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they will talk about something going on in that person's life that maybe is very private or that they are really needing advice or help with, but they don't share it with everyone.
Yeah.
And they're saying, I see this going on. I know you're feeling this way. This is my guidance. They're not end all, know all, be all, but they do have opinions about what we're doing in our lives.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Can we talk a little bit about the healing aspects of it? Because this is why hey, you, if you're watching this, subscribe. I know you're watching because we have the analytics and a lot of people that watch us are not actually subscribed to our YouTube channel. So subscribe and like at the Geena The Latina Show on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the Geena The Latina Show. Let's get back to the show. The first time a medium came into our radio show, I mean, actually probably like a few times, like I was like, man, this is BS, blah, 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 like whatever. And then when they just told me specific details, it changed my life. Like it really did. I was like, wow, like this is like, because when you lose someone, you're grieving and like just the messages coming through is just life-changing, right? And I just wish that for everybody, that everybody could have that experience, that could find joy or whoever to do this for them. What's the kind of healing experiences you've seen like for people?
It's really totally dependent on the person because we're all individuals. But the beauty is the human spectrum of emotions is the one thing that we all share, no matter what our life looked like, we still have that spectrum of emotions. So sometimes it's someone who, their grandparent lived to a very old age and passes away very peacefully, and they're just wanting to know, oh, she's still with me. Sometimes it's someone who has a child that passed incredibly tragically, and they're needing to know, oh my God, where are they? Who are they with? Are they okay? Are they suffering? Are they... Sometimes culturally we're taught that they're in like a bad place, especially if they have a challenging passing, addiction or completion of suicide or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it can be really healing, because the beauty of evidential mediumship is that the proof, quote unquote, is if they weren't in a good place and this healed, evolved version of themselves, they wouldn't have all their memories. They wouldn't be able to communicate. They wouldn't be able to... they're doing so much. They have to know who they are. They have to know who you are. They have to get you to me.
Yeah.
They have to get me to communicate things that you will recognize. Because remember, we're different in the different relationships in our life. You might be very different as a friend than as a daughter, right? So they're having to also know, okay, this is the relationship to you, and give details about that. So I think it's that specificity that makes it so healing. And it's the specific details that it's not general. Like, oh, they love you, they're fine.
Yeah.
It's in
the details that where someone knows, like, yes,
or even
I
like
know
about
what
their
red
personality
shirt you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know?
Oh, they were this is how they were in public. This is how they were in private. So then if that stuff holds true for you in your heart, knowing that person, then the additional details of, oh, this is what I've been doing, or this is who I'm with, it gives it more weight, and it is much more healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it lifts things off people's heart, really.
It does.
Because
it really does.
Yeah, there are so many people that are just terrified about, is their person okay?
Yeah.
And they can just move forward in their healing knowing that, you know what I mean?
And I've always wanted like my mom or dad to go to a medium.
Yeah.
But they're very religious, right? So sometimes, I don't know, I think they might be open to it now a little bit.
Yeah.
But what do you say, like, do you have like the religious part of it? Because I do know friends that are like, hey, if you are liking the show and you want it to keep going, you got to help us by subscribing. It's real easy. Just subscribe right here. Also, comment. I don't care if you hate it. You can comment that you hate it. Comment that you love the show. We just need your engagement to keep it going. Also, if you're on social media, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at the Geena The Latina Show. All right, let's get back to it. They're like interested, but then their religion is like holding them back. Like, I don't know, like because of what they've been told or how, like, what do you say? Is there like a bridge, or do you have anything to say?
This was a big part of my early time when I said people were coming through and I'd have information. I didn't even used to allow these kind of TV shows in my house. My son was like a teen when this started happening for me. So it was like a joke because I binge watched all the shows. And he's like, what is going on? Like, now these shows are allowed. And I used to say I didn't want to open doors I didn't understand. So the things I've learned, I sat with God and said, you know, if this is not for me, like, I'm okay to not do this. I'm okay to like turn it off or whatever, but I need to understand if this is okay. And I guess the word is message, even though it doesn't quite fit. The inspiration that I got was over time of seeing how much healing was happening. I was like, well, this can't be from a bad place. Do you know what I mean?
That's the same feeling I got because I grew up religious.
Yeah.
I would still say I use God, and I know other people use universe.
Yeah,
I'm okay with
like.
whatever works.
Yeah.
I would identify as Christian or whatever, right? But I think this is so healing. I think this is from God. Like, I truly believe that because from my own experience, like, you know, and so that's why I'm like trying to bridge the gap here.
Yeah.
And of course you could, like, I know, like, you know, we grew up Mexican, so there's like the Santeria and all these things. And I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about just connecting with loved ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will tell you, it's interesting. Different religions are obviously different. Catholicism in particular, there's a bit of an easier bridge. I was raised partially Catholic and then went on my own whole Christian journey. But because we understand saints, because we understand people who sit at the right hand of God, for example, it's like, okay, well, there's more here to it than just that. And I believe in angels and guides and all the other things.
Me too. So just be open if you want to, and if not, it's not for you.
Sit with it in prayer or meditation, or ask God, universe, whatever you like, to inspire you if it's okay for you personally.
Yeah, and if it's not, it's not.
Yeah,
you know,
okay
the biggest thing when you said prayer and meditation is because I've been into this stuff for a while. My parents are slowly getting like, they're more open to it. I haven't asked them. But when I used to say meditation, even that word was too much for them, right?
Those times,
And then I was at church with them and the pastor said he meditated. I looked at my mom and I said, and now meditation's fine. And they actually think it's a great thing. So it's just a different way to look at things. It's the wording. It's, you know, and if you really keep your mind open, that aspect, I think that you can, and you tune into your intuition, know and feel if it's right, if it's the right psychic medium, if it's the right person that you, because it is your energy. You are opening up your energy to these people. So you have to do it with the right people.
See that person's work. See if they're fear-based. See if they're a couple things. So I love the way Deepak Chopra says it. He says, prayer is when we talk to God. Meditation is when we listen for the answers. So that really resonated with me. The other thing I've learned is all the bad stuff, the scary stuff, that's of this side. That's not on the other side. That's a creation of our messy human emotions.
Yeah.
Because those difficult spectrum of emotions don't exist on the other side because they have clarity. It's more on the pure love because, there's love and fear. I know you know this on those ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
The other side is all of those loving emotions. And the other thing to know is even if someone was very difficult here, when they're on the other side, what I now understand about the life review is it's not them watching a movie of their life. It's them standing in the shoes of anyone they ever created any emotion in and having to feel that emotion. So they really do have clarity about emotions they created in other people. It's different.
I would say like their personality is the same on the other side, but they're different people. Like they're healed. They're, they're just
like the best version of themselves.
Yes, they are the best version of themselves. Yeah. Really quick, I wanted to talk about the fear-based thing you said. Because a lot of people go to different kind of healers and stuff, and I don't feed into the fear-based stuff. If you leave feeling fearful, to me, that is not the right healer.
That's manipulation to me. I agree with you.
Right?
And a lot of times, the truth is, in our world, manipulation and money often go together. And if someone is telling you, someone put a curse on you and you need a cure, and there's usually a financial gain attached to that.
And then you got to keep coming back to me to, exactly. I don't feed into any of that. I don't believe in curses. I believe maybe there's some stuck energy. Let's move it out, or let's
valid.
Protect ourselves because of course there's all this energy, but curse, you allow that too.
Yeah, you're a match for that.
Yeah. Before I should have asked you this off camera.
Oh, you can ask me whatever you want. I'm open book.
Feel free to say no.
It's okay.
Okay. I just wanted to see if
now I want to know what it is.
No, it's not anything crazy. But you honestly feel free to say no. I don't know if there was any way to do a little reading for anyone here. I don't know how that works for you.
We can.
Like a mini one, because you guys can't see behind the camera. Are you guys all up for it too, by the way? Is anyone not? Okay, there's 5 people that work on set, including myself, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if you could or wanted to connect with someone. Are you guys all down for it, everybody? Because if you're not, no? Okay, Drew's passed.
Okay, I will tell you, if you understand the person I'm saying, will you just say that you understand them, but you're not open? Okay, thanks.
Okay, so Drew's passed.
It's really hard if it's like,
I'm
like,
someone comes up, just say me, pass. But everybody else, you guys are all good? So we got 4 people here.
All right, give me just a second.
Okay.
I have to say, this woman, I tend not to move my awareness because, like I said, I have to move my awareness there. But I'm aware of this woman. She feels very motherly. So I know she would have raised several children in the world, but she's a big personality. She's not afraid to tell someone about themselves. She's not afraid to really give her opinion. But it's funny the way she gives her opinion. It reminds me of like how my grandma used to be like, well, I guess if you like your hair like that, that's okay. So, but she's very direct and very honest in that way. Let me just start there and see if anyone understands this woman. I don't know yet, but does this sound like someone you might know?
So how it works is like shows, like if you've never done a group reading, and I know you guys can't see the people behind the camera, she'll start saying things. And if someone, if it resonates even a little bit, and just raise your hand, and it doesn't mean it's that person. It could be 4 of you whose hands go up, and then we'll kind of work through elimination, and she'll keep going until we identify who that person is with. All right. So as she goes, even if it's a little bit, go ahead and raise your hand, and then we'll narrow it down, right? I've been through a lot of these readings. So
we have 2.
We have 2 people that it's resonating with. Okay.
I want to say with her too, there's this feeling of her loving to laugh. So I know she jokes a lot, and I know she can make a joke out of a lot of things as part of her personality. Does that fit for either of you with who you're thinking of? You
both,
yes and you
both.
yes.
Okay, keep going.
This woman too, I know that she has her own kids, but I know she also raises other people's kids as part of her life, even after her kids are grown. Some of them are her grandkids, but some of them feel like nieces, nephews, extended kids to me. Does this make sense? Not with you, and I'm with you.
Leah.
Okay.
Okay. Should we bring Leah up here? You have to come on.
She doesn't want to be over here, but she's going to say yes or no to us. It's okay.
You're going to cry. Okay, she's going to cry.
It's okay. She can just say yes
what she's doing. She's already cried.
Yeah, you can just say the yeses and no's
Okay, I'll say yes. You raise your hand if it's yes. Oh
you
my God.
Understand
Are you okay with this, Leah?
Sorry.
She's already crying.
Girl, that's why we don't do these readings like this, because there's someone not ready to blow up their whole day.
Are you okay? No.
Okay.
No. Okay. It's maybe too soon.
Yeah. It's really, sometimes this is how it is. It's really tough.
Sorry. Yeah.
Are you okay for me to just give you a little bit more detail and you don't have to say anything?
Yeah.
Because there's this feeling with her. I know she has an illness in the last part of her life. And I know that not everyone has the opportunity to see her while she's still well and able to communicate. And she's not wanting anyone to worry about that. There's this feeling with her of she knows what's in your heart. And I know that you think about her still all the time. You send thoughts to her. You ask her to watch over you. And I can hear her in her funny, joking voice of like, well, where else do you think I would be? Like she's very funny in her personality. And there's also this feeling of, I know she knows you since you're very small, because there's this sense of she still sees you as that little girl, but she's so proud of who you've become. She's continuously working with you to see yourself how she sees you. I know she would have said this to you in life too, of you have so much potential. You don't need to hide your true self. You can really put yourself out there. So just know, I won't give you too much more because I know there's a lot for you right now, but just know that she is with you. She hears all the thoughts and prayers you send. There are people who are still lighting candles for her, who have like an altar space for her with photo. And this sense of, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be irreverent, but she's funny. She's like, I really like how everyone is thinking about me and everyone's looking at different pictures of me. And someone did some sort of like collage about her with different photos.
Is that true?
Yeah. Put it together.
Leah's saying yes, she's behind the camera.
She really likes it. I just have one more question. Do we do some sort of like announcement or prayer card for her as part of her celebration of life?
She said yes.
She really likes the picture that we chose in the little oval because she's like, look at my hair. It looks so pretty in that picture. And her face looks more like how she likes to be remembered. I think it's either your mom or aunt that chose that picture though. And she's like, thank you so much for that picture that you chose. You have that prayer card in your car? Okay, because she's like, you keep it right with you all the time.
Oh,
you don't need to keep something with you she likes that you do, but you don't have to keep something with you. She's teasing, saying like, well, at least this got more of you guys to church to like say
Leah's
prayers
laughing.
for her.
You guys can't see her, but she's laughing. She's confirming all this.
I know she has a very strong faith with her, but she's also saying it doesn't matter the building. She has such a beautiful faith that she's like, God hears you no matter where you are. So it's okay to send your thoughts, send your prayers, and she is with you all the time. She really likes her hair done, and she's just saying, remember her with like her little hairdo that she likes and the color that she likes. Laughing. So I'll leave you with that, but she's very present with you. So
are we okay to say it's your aunt or no? Are we okay to? So can I share that? I'm sorry. Well, we could edit this out. Yeah. So Leah works on the show, and her aunt passed away recently, and she actually missed shooting yesterday because it was her funeral yesterday.
Oh wow!
So
that's the beauty. Is there's no delay for them. Yeah, they're fine
and then
right
they had the showing and everything Friday. So Leah's been going through a lot. We appreciate that. Even I'm surprised she even showed up today.
Yeah.
No one expected her to, but maybe she showed up for this. I believe she showed up for this.
That's amazing.
For this reading. And I know if you're watching this, you can't see Leah because she's crying and this was all spur of the moment, but maybe this is why. And I wasn't even planning to do this. Just something told me
you were inspired
to like, let's see, you know? So thank you, Leah, for being open. And she just didn't want to cry on camera.
Which is understandable. She wasn't ready for this either.
So Joy, I believe in you.
Thank you.
I just witnessed it. Where can people find you? Have a lot of stuff going on. Tell me everything.
So I have a podcast too, which is sort of similar to this one, where I just give people an insider's perspective on all of the way I say it is mediums, mystics, and spiritual luminaries of our time.
Yeah.
That's called Spirit Speakeasy. You can just search it all the places where you get podcasts. My website is joyfulmedium.com. I also believe that anyone can get signs from their loved ones. So I have a free 3-day mini course that teaches people how to get signs from the universe.
Like to learn to do what you do.
Kind of, but with their own loved ones.
Like in a mini version.
Yeah, just to see hellos and signs in the world from your loved ones, but clear and specific. So you're not left wondering like, was that my loved one? Was that just a butterfly for no reason? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hummingbirds are a big thing, right? Yeah.
And you can set up signs with your loved ones, and one of the other lessons is like if you see 1111, 444, it teaches you what all those numbers mean and how to use them. It's totally free. It's right on the homepage of my website, joyfulmedium.com. Just drop your email in there.
Okay. Can I come on your podcast? I don't know what I would do. But
we were talking about this, and I was like, let me not text her and bother her before.
Oh, yeah. So, I would love to come on your podcast. I love talking about spirit and all these things.
And I know you have a story to share too that's really moving that I saw a little bit
Which one?
About your brothers, which I think is really incredible.
I've talked about it a lot on the podcast.
I saw it on a little clip of you. That's why I was like, I didn't want to learn too much about you just in case.
I Actually, I don't even know if I've done a whole episode on that, but we will do that. I had 2 brothers murdered within 5 months of each other, but I talk to them all the time. Good. So yeah, but we could talk about that.
And I would love to do a reading for you sometime.
Oh, I would
privately.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Do we say your Instagram? What was your Instagram?
At Joyful Medium.
At Joyful Medium. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.